those stats, Paulo, because you know how I judge the size of a map? Is by how large are the Vespian gas geyser squares on my mini-map. The larger they are, the smaller the map. That's my metric for how large a map is. But okay, guys. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map on top of that ever-so-blue Team Liquid player, Liquid's MaNa.
And going unsurprisingly for an early pool opening into a really weird double gas cancel, it is Bly or Raise Your Edge Gaming.
So,
oh wow.
Paulo, while this kicks off very, very quickly, I want to actually ask you, ooh, okay, well, we have the pylon block attempt before MaNa realizes it is, in fact, just a super quick best to actually react with for a bit.
Exactly. Now this robo is probably going to be made for something. Was probably going to be made for something like a Warp Prism for the Dark Templars more than anything else. But now you have a robo that doesn't really do much against Zerglings. I mean, Immortals are not great against Zerglings, and you have a Dark Shrine, which is not going to come into play for a little bit here. So there's a little bit of a timing window for Bly potentially, but he really needs to make use of it. Right now, the Lynx are on the other side of the map dealing with the Adepts. They're finally going to take him down. And these Lynx inside the main, they're just not going to do enough. I mean, with this shield batteries coming up, very difficult to find damage.
Yeah, it's worth noting that there's one gas gather that's basically not being mined from for a lot of this time for MaNa just because of these Zerglings being annoying. So the gas count for MaNa is actually not that high right now. He only is going to have enough to warp in one DT, might have enough for a second one soon, but it's a defensive DT as well. There's maybe a little bit more time for Bly to at least react to that.
Yeah, I mean, Bly really should be doing something. He stopped attacking the gateway with the Zerglings when he saw that, that he wasn't going to kill them in time or that there was an Adept protecting it or something. But, I mean, it's not like you can pull back and do and macro out of this. I mean, he's trying. He's making a Spore and he's making a Lair. But this is just, this is just a little bit painful. Nothing has worked at all for Bly, and he has looked for no commitment off of any of it. It's just like he's cut his losses each and every single time. And he's just falling further and further behind, and I have no idea how he can win from here.
Yeah, I think this is starting to hit that point of no return. MaNa is just the kind of player, he is at that X level of class where he is not going to allow these kind of leads to fall through easily. Like, Bly is at the point where he needs MaNa to make a mistake that Bly can capitalize on. And I just don't know that MaNa in this situation is really going to give him that opportunity. He'd really have to mess up from here.
Exactly. I mean, and he did mess up a couple of times, because he didn't scout that proxy hatch until it went completely up. Yeah. But I think Bly was maybe expecting for MaNa to be aware of it or something, because
he wins the
really Zerglings off of a proxy hatch where you don't have a queen are very difficult to make. We're watching the beginning of the end, as Stasis would call it. Yeah, I'm not sure that there's much commentary. Go, you try it, Bobby.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Kat. Literally just the DTs and that Immortal, we're going to win that initial fight. Well, the Roach is popping on out. This is going to get a little bit dicier, but at the end of the day, the Immortal still does so much damage. The Adept going to deny all mining in the main, and another Warp in. Yeah, that's just going to be way too much. If MaNa lost every single unit here, Paulo, I'd still say he was ahead.
Oh, for sure. This is a poke by him. I mean, this is, how many gateways does he really have to work with? Like 3, 4, 4?
Yeah, 4 gateways.
It's not at all a huge commitment.
Drone's being pulled off the line. Bly is a bit infamous for trying his best until the very bitter end in his games. So he's going to try and maybe buy himself a bit of time to think about how he wants to approach game number 2 after game number 1, like you said, Paulo. Really not working out for him.
Yeah, I do want to say I have been surprised by Bly before, where like where I'm calling him dead and then he comes back. But yeah, this one's a little bit way too far gone, and Bly is gonna have to be.
This is gonna be the proxy drone, right? And instead of just pulling it back, I'm actually not sure what is this drone looking for, because he had it at the front and he had it on a patrol at that ramp as though he was looking for something.
No, what he was doing was waiting for the probe to move up the ramp. So when he thought that the probe was going to move up his ramp, he just wanted to like this. Like now is when he would want to be dropping that hatchery. So he was just trying to be sneaky, and he had the Overlord to aid himself. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, I'm sure, for him.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. I think MaNa actually saw the drone moving out with his probe, so maybe tips him off a little bit that was going to be attempted, but regardless, gets his hatchery down at the third base, so can have a slightly longer drone transfer and everything. But behind this, we're actually going to get a more normal-looking opening for the most part. This is going to be, a pros player that actually gets up there natural in a reasonable way, has the proper wall. Zerg player can get up there, presumably third eventually.
Yeah, but this is already awkward for Bly because he is so very used to, say, making the game weird by now. This is a strangely normal game where MaNa actually has kind of the edge by proxy of just being able to block that hatchery on the low ground from Bly, and Bly going for a pull first regardless. So this is a pull first that gets his hatchery in the natural denied anyway, and it's just rough.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you there. I think the more normal looking a game looks, the more MaNa is going to be favored. I do think that
put Bly in a pretty good position. 5 workers go down, a lot of mining time lost. Make it 9, 10. Wow, this is already a hefty chunk of damage from Bly.
That almost feels game ending, right? Like that's a really tough spot to come back from, because I feel like Bly is he's gonna have to take a lot of damage to some attack or something from MaNa, or he's gonna have to basically run headfirst into a hard wall for MaNa for this to actually work out for MaNa.
Yeah, but MaNa was so greedy at the same time. Wow, this Zealot fired him.
Okay, it's hold position now. It's hold position.
Oh man, maybe this other Zealot is also hold position. This is the problem because the pros are still falling. Oh no. All right, so yeah, I mean, MaNa did get a hatchery cancel for the 4th of Bly, and it was a greedy 4th with the Ridge Vesting Geyser there, but this is all that it comes down to. It's the Nidus right now, Ravi. MaNa is not going to spot it until a little bit too late. I'm not sure that he has enough units to take care of this. It's all hands on deck as the Adepts are pulling back from the 3rd as the Void Ray is coming, and beautiful feedbacks though.
Yeah, gonna prevent most of the transfuses. I think there's one queen that's gonna have a transfuse soon. Another Night Storm gonna try and come down to the 3rd. The Oracle runs on in a little too early. I think it's trying to go after the Nidus. Not gonna be able to get it. And this is just so many roaches. Even with the Immortal popping on out, I'm not sure this is gonna be enough for MaNa to hold.
Yeah, unfortunately for MaNa, that shield battery should have been the first thing to go down. It instead just went down a little bit late. I'm not sure if it's gonna kick in, but with a shield battery overcharged, he might have been able to hold position there with the Void Ray and kind of deal with most things that threaten his mineral line. As it stands, he's still buying time, or trying to, though Bly is doing a really good job of nidusing at his other bases as well to make sure that somewhere or wherever the army of MaNa is not, he can continue to do the damage.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, Bly is in the main base of MaNa saying, okay, I'll continue because you can't actually defend this just yet. The moment MaNa looked like he was going to be able to actually hold his main base, Bly would evacuate his entire army to the 3rd, and MaNa would just be completely out of position to actually defend it. So he would have lost even more over there. I like that MaNa at least has retreated most of his workers away, but now we have the GG going to be coming on out. Bly does a little too much damage and actually ties up the series there 1-1.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit happy about that one. I mean, those Zealots fire them. You know, they're really not on hold position like they should be at the entrance there. Twice? 3 times?
3 times, I think. 3 times, yeah. Well, that is definitely a rough one. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give both these players a little bit of time before they move into game number 3. We're going to head to a short break and be back with more DreamHack SC2 Masters.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I know.
From the Ukraine and playing from Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is the Red Circ player, Bly! No question who's going to win this one now.
Definitely something up in the air, I would say, at this point. And we do have, of course, Joe moving across the map, getting ready for that hatchery block. And MaNa is very easily going to be able to scout that. Unlike the hatchery that went up in his main base last game.
Oh, yeah. This is just a block to deny, to delay things. And I love this from Bly. Oh, this is an overreaction from MaNa, in my opinion. This is something of the fact that he expanded so quickly and kind of riskily. So he also assessed that Bly should be making drones for a little while and kind of just expanded off of 2 adepts, right? Like kind of risky, but it works out pretty well.
Yeah, and this is going to get into, I feel like, a situation where MaNa can kind of sit back and say, like, okay, if I can get up to the 3 Stargates and I can get up like 5 or 6 Void Rays, unless you kill me like really soon with the big Hydra attack or something like, and this is really, really nice, actually killing 5, maybe like 6 or 7 workers over here. This is really, really nice at that damage. Oh my god. And the Void Rays at the 3rd, there's no queens here right now.
Yeah, they actually take down the spine. So that tells me, I don't know if MaNa was actually actively looking at the Void Rays, because you know, drones or an Overlord might have been better to kill than the spine. But if he goes for the spine on purpose, then that might speak to what he wants to do later. At the same time, however, Bly has gotten inside of MaNa's base. I don't think much was lost other than mining time.
Yeah, well, I guess he at least confirms exactly how many Stargates are pumping out those Void Rays right now. And I guess the lack of gateways that are still out right now, because you were talking about, you know, potential follow-up over here of taking out the spine and maybe an investment further into more gateway units, but that's going to be coming a little bit later on with the Twilight Council being added. But yeah, these Void Rays, I feel like it is just a hard shutdown on any kind of aggression from Bly until big numbers of Hydras come out. So MaNa kind of has control of the map until those Hydras really start feeling comfortable moving across the map.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. What MaNa's gonna want to do and kind of have to do to some degree is to bring the Void Rays over to Bly's side of the map and try to snipe off the 4th, or even try to sneak into the main and sneak and you know, kill the main before the queens can come in, or any of these bases. He basically wants to have this Void Ray somewhat as a hit squad. Now Bly seems somewhat aware of this, and actually he's preparing for a big attack launched as he's moving his queens across the map. So I really like this from Bly. And one thing that I would have loved from MaNa was a quicker transition. He is getting a Twilight or a Templar Archives, but Storm is not going to be done anytime soon. I mean, the Templar Archives isn't done, so it's going to be very difficult to hold this with just Void Rays, I think.
Yeah, really unfortunate too, because MaNa actually had 2 adepts make their way across the map, but they barely missed all of the queens and the Hydras, so he's going to actually just find this with his Void Rays basically right at his front door. So even those extra couple of seconds could have helped allow those shield batteries to be finished in time for this attack. High Templar's out. Can go for the feedback on some of these queens.
Yeah, I think MaNa at that point is just showing the High Templar so that Bly respects it more than anything else. But now using the feedback, I mean, Bly's going to be well aware that there's no Storm on the way and he can clump as much as he wants. And he should clump to try and deal with this Void Rays one at a time as quickly as possible with this Hydralisks. Where is the battery overcharge? There it is, finally from MaNa. So Bly could retreat even if he wants to. It's a little bit sketchy that he's moving on forward, but he still has the DPS Rabbit to kill some Void Rays.
Yeah, they had to kill 2 of them, but remember that the DPS is decreasing very quickly there for Bly. So he doesn't have the DPS anymore. He loses all of the queens, lost a lot of Hydras as well. And MaNa's been safely mining at his 3rd base during all of this. He kept a lot of his probes alive, and I actually feel like, yeah, he's done a great job of holding that first round.
Yeah, one thing about Void Rays is they're kind of slow to move across bases as well. So I would have liked for Bly to maybe threaten the 3rd and force those Void Rays out of position, where in the middle between those 2 fortified shield batteries positions, that's where it's easiest for Bly to fight those Void Rays. So I think he should be baiting them a little bit more, but he thinks he has enough to break through MaNa, and he might just be right here.
Yeah, now that the gateway wall-in is down, it is so much harder for those Void Rays to just abuse the fact that they're air units against ground units, that they can clump up and run away, whereas the Hydras have to close the gap. But now that the gap has been closed, even with the Photon Battery overcharge, this just really looks tough, and I like that move from Bly. Focus fires down that Photon Battery overcharge that was healing up these Void Rays, and it's going to force out that GG. Bly takes the series 2-1 there.
Yeah, racing is there.